everybody. I am back. I have a guest on the line. I think you're going to be very excited to talk to her about everything that she's got going on. She's part of Project First America, and she's founder of it. And her name is Tatiana Zakharchenko. And we're excited to talk to her about this and see what she's got going on. So welcome to the show. How you doing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm doing really well. Thank you so much.
Well, good. I'm glad you're doing good. I'm doing good myself. And it's almost towards Christmas time. So do you believe that 2021 is almost over?
Yeah, time flies. I guess, this year was better than last year, but it's still like wasn't what we hoped for, all of us, right? Like we were thinking, yeah, it's gonna be over, but we're getting there. It's close.
Yeah, we're getting there. I'm hoping everything will kind of get back to normal. And I know, I guess before I talk about that, let's kind of find out what Project First America is, because it does involve the entertainment community. So tell me a little bit about Project First America.
Sure. So yeah, what we do, we produce videos for children, educational cartoons and nursery rhymes for children in Spanish. And we localize brands for other companies. So basically, if someone wants to expand to the US or Latin American market, so we are the right people to talk to, because we are going to set up YouTube channels. We're going to, localize the content in Spanish and English here in the US and in Latin America. And we're most famous for Televisión para Niños. It's a channel for preschoolers in Spanish, and we gained over 1.7 billion views. It's fantastic. I'm so blessed, and I'm so happy and thankful that I'm doing this. So yeah, it's exciting.
Wow. Did you ever think it was going to be this big when you first started it?
Honestly, like I don't remember what I was thinking at the time, because so I have a TV background. I used to work in international television. I used to produce foreign versions of American TV shows like Jeopardy. So yeah, I was producing the Russian version of Jeopardy, and I would come here, would hang out on set here, see how things are done here, and then just take it back to my coworkers, and would produce the Russian version. The same with scripted shows like Psych. I would write the Russian adaptation of Psych. And so, yeah, basically, that was my background. And I worked as a producer for a long time. And when I got into YouTube, so essentially, it's a TV network. I'm running a TV network. It's the same thing, it's like as an executive, you got to decide which shows go on the air, which, have to cancel because they're not getting enough views. So the difference with YouTube is that it's direct to consumer, and they get to decide if they want to watch it or not. So that's the beauty of it, I think. And I leveraged my TV background and did everything that I learned in that world and transferred it here. So
see, I love YouTube, and I think if people really understood the power of like Venmo and Vimeo and YouTube, they would have a great tool at hand. Like for me to be able to do these interviews and get it out to people years ago, I would need a studio. And now I don't. I can literally generate my own content. It's not necessarily how people would want to I could put up my own content, and it's not technically censored as much, so I mean, we can literally have a voice, and I think that's a wonderful thing. So when you decided to put out stuff on YouTube, did you understand that concept?
I don't think I did at the time. That's something, I was learning, because I didn't have any experience in direct to consumer, but I did have experience in producing content. I was a producer by trade, and I knew what made good content. Mm-hmm. So, and I had like a lot of case studies, and also basically I leveraged that. And I'm like, okay, so let's see how it works on YouTube. And especially the thing about what I do in particular, I have to sell it to parents who are not so it's not going to be the end consumer for my product. There's going to be their kids, but like, how do you sell it to parents and convince them, yeah, this is something your kid needs to watch, and you got to show it to them. So yeah, but I agree with you 100%. So there's no censorship in terms of you get to be as creative as you want, and like you get to put out what you believe in, and then let the audience decide. not an executive who says, well, I don't think it's going to work. Because especially, I've been doing YouTube for 6 years now. And, I learned to trust the audience, and you got to put up the product that the audience wants to watch, not that you want to produce, and then that's awesome. And I love it. Actually, I would not switch back to television at this point because you know what? Exactly. You have to jump through so many hoops. You have to pitch it to this executive and that executive. And they all, like have their own backgrounds and ideas. And it's like, no, this is not going to work. But like the way we operate on YouTube is let's try and let the audience decide. I mean, sure, like I don't want to lose money. If it's not performing well, I'm going to cancel the show, learn my lessons and move on. But that is beautiful that you can do that right on YouTube. So that's fantastic.
It's amazing what technology is able to give us these days. And that's what I love about how we've grown and what we can do. And it allows even like independent movie people to be able to put out their stuff that they normally would never have been able to do years ago. So exactly. I love those platforms. Now, I know YouTube is now kind of going more towards advertising towards children. And obviously you're doing children's television. So how do you market to a child? Do you have to look at the parent? And what types of things do you take into consideration when making content for children?
Sure. So my content is for preschoolers. It's basically the majority of our audience are 2-year-olds, and a lot of our shows are about how things work, like how things are built, how just we explain what the so say we're building a new house and we are walking them through what goes into the process, like what machines do you use, like do you use a crane and what does a crane do, stuff like that. So we basically make content for children who learning about the world at that age, or they're learning to work in teams with other kids. So we based on that, like we all have educational background, I minored in education. I used to be a teacher at the time. So, and I worked with kids, so I know all of that. And just, I'm leveraging from that in what I do, but like how we market it to parents. So basically it is an educational show. So yes, it's not just your kid is going to be in front of the screen doing, nothing useful. No, they're going to learn something. They're going to learn new words. They're going to learn new social skills. They're going to learn how to interact with other kids, how to identify their emotions, how to label their emotions. And yes, I mean, obviously parents want to be good parents. And that's why they're like, yes, that is the content I want to, introduce to my child. But also, it's the kid's reaction. If the kid, was upset, for example, they were crying, it's 2-year-old, something didn't go right, and the parents showed them my video and the kid stopped crying, I succeeded. Because then, it's like, it's a better day for everyone involved. So yeah. And then kids, and like every time someone says, well, but kids, 2-year-olds, they can't talk, they can't really say if they like the show or not. You don't need words. You just see the emotions. You look at their faces. They're happy. They're smiling. And yes, that means they love the content. Like parents, because I'm in touch with all my audience all the time. And so funny, parents tell me, oh, everyone dies in our house. Like when Leo is on, when the show is on, everyone dies. And like, I found a really funny clip on Instagram. So there was this, dad, because parents, they watch our shows with their kids, and the dad and his son, and the son, he's just like, glued to the screen, like his big eyes. He's just watching Leo, and dad is messing around. He's just like blowing air in his ear. He's just like pulling his hair, and there's like no reaction on kid's face. He's just like watching Leo, and it's fantastic. I'm so thankful for all of this. Yeah.
I know kids pretty well, and I know that they have a very short attention span. So you have just a few moments upon, maybe it's the introduction, maybe it's part of the first few minutes of the show. Maybe it's something like that to catch their attention, to make them want to continue watching it. What are some of the tricks that you have to come up with? Is it colors? Is it characters? Is it voices? How do you work that?
Absolutely. Yeah. So I noticed, and like, again, that's another beauty of YouTube. You get so much data. So you can analyze your every step. You can know exactly like where the the views drop, where, they lost, interest in that. So yeah, within the first 30 seconds, Leo, who is our main character, has to be on the screen. He has to be on the screen. Otherwise, it's kind of difficult, to get the attention. Or we have some supporting characters. They usually, have fun, give each other a hard time, and it's just, comedic effect. What that's what they bring to the show, and yeah, they need to be in the first 30 seconds as well. And then yeah, if it's just dialogue with nothing happening on the screen, then that's it. Like, I lost them. They're gonna click on something else, and the danger of not capturing their attention right away is that there's millions of other videos just like to the right of the screen, and they just go, and like that's it, you lost them. That's why we don't have the luxury of building up of like a 40-minute setup. No. Just you gotta grab them right away. Yeah, this Leo, look, drop everything you're doing. Leo is gonna tell you a story and like teach you something today. So yeah, that is interesting. But we've been doing this for a while, and the show has changed over the years. And obviously, I do my best to improve with every single upload. So yeah, I mean, like at this point, I know exactly what to do and what not to do. Even like when I schedule programming, I'm like, okay, so yeah, that episode, we're gonna put it, at a later date. So yeah.
Now you do cartooning, which is really fun. I mean, I love that. I've always wanted to draw cartoons. I still watch cartoons to this day. That's what I do. And people
That's awesome. What do you watch?
So bad. I watch a lot of stuff on Disney, and I love The Owl House, one of my absolute favorites. I love Gravity Falls. I love Amphibia. I love Phineas and Ferb.
Phineas and Ferb, I love it. It's so awesome. It's so funny. Yeah.
And I absolutely love the old-fashioned stuff, like the Bugs Bunnies, the original Mickey Mouses, all the animated classics that you see on television. I love it all. And I don't look at it as like it's for kids, because actually, if you listen to some of the content, kids would never understand it.
No, it's not kid friendly sometimes. It's just like too much violence. Yeah.
But the kids like the characters, so they can relate to them. But see, I like everything, and I look at it as an artistic journey. The art that is taken, and the amount of ingenuity to make that work is completely unbelievable to me. So I appreciate the other side of it, where everybody just like, oh, it's a kid, you're just being a kid. Well, yeah, I'm a big kid, so what? But I still love that stuff, and I love how it takes to get there. What is one of the most difficult parts about creating a cartoon for you?
It's just okay, so it's just physically, like, you get couple tunnel because like you move your mouse a lot, and it's just like you have to animate every frame. It's just physically excruciating, let's put it that way. That's why animation is so expensive. Yes, it's fun to watch, it's fun to draw, but like animating it's like, no. Even like with 3D is easier than 2D for sure. But like I remember once I tried animating something, and I'm like, no. That's not gonna happen. Yeah, but what I do for our shows, I still do sound design. So when we have because we also have nursery rhymes, and I produce the vocals, I mix the vocals with the music, and sometimes I create sound design from scratch. This is something I actually really love doing. It's very creative, and yeah, it's just like my ears get like start bleeding at the end of the day. But yeah, other than that, it's very creative and it's fun. But also with animation, staging is key. It's like, is it interesting to look at, like how the character's positioned on the screen? It's what are the colors? Is there enough contrast, to like for me to like for my eye to be interested in it? So yeah, I'm sorry, there's like a fire truck. This is Los Angeles. Yeah, it happens all the time.
That's what I love about real TV like this.
Yeah.
Now, with animation, I don't know how it works. I've kind of looked at it a little bit, but kind of not. When it comes to the voiceover, do you have to do the voiceover first, and they like voice over the character, or do you physically do the characters and then they voice it over after? How does that work?
Sure. Yeah, it depends on the format of the show because, for example, on our channel, season 1 of Leo the Truck, we didn't have lip sync in the show. So the characters, they wouldn't talk because, the premise was babies don't talk and our, cars are babies. So, yeah, and it was just the narrator. And if it's just someone, like a parent archetype, that doesn't matter. Like you can record it before, after, it's up to you. But if it's lip sync, you need to make sure you have the right amount of syllables, right? Like, so yes, you do. So it's like a draft, like you record a rough cut, with, it doesn't have to be an actor, usually, like whoever produces the show, like an editor, like whoever's available, it depends on the studio, how big it is. But yeah, you record something so your voice actor has some, like cues. So they see where they need to come in and how many syllables are there. Because also when you adapt a show from a different languages, and that's what I do, you need to calculate the number of syllables. Otherwise, it's just going to be so out of sync. And in Spanish, you can say, so for example, like stop. Like in English, it's just like stop, one syllable, like stop doing this, But in Spanish, it can be basta or detente. And it's a different story, right? Like I need to watch the Russian version, see how many syllables they used, and then tap into my vocabulary and be like, oh, okay, so that word, so it's just like something that comes with localization, with adaptation. But yeah, I mean, if you were to do an English show, I mean, obviously, like if you watch adapted shows, you see it's like out of sync, but it's lip sync. So that's what it is. And I don't see it as like a tragedy. I'm like, oh my God, no, like it wasn't in sync. No, it's like all languages are different. We got to understand that there's a difference. And kids need to learn that at an early age, that yes, they're different cultures and you got to accept that and appreciate that.
I know just from like using Google Translate that when I put up something or somebody sends me something, it is broken usually throughout. And I know that there is a difference in how things are said and how things are, in different meanings in different places. So how different is that to like translate an English show to a Spanish show or a Spanish show to English? How much stuff is lost in between that can really have an impact on the story?
Sure. See, because I am familiar with both cultures, right? Like I took Spanish in college and I worked with Latin American companies a lot. And then I've lived in the US for a very long time. So it's not just the language per se, it's like you have to take into account the culture, like how they would say certain things, and Russia is totally different, So again, like I lived in Russia as well. So it's not just the language, it's the cultural aspects of it, and especially Spanish. So the fault is like Spanish it's different versions of the same words, across Latin America. Even so, my exes are from Mexico and Venezuela, and they use different words for the same thing, and sometimes in Spain, especially, people get so particular. They're like, that's not how we say it. That's not how we say it in Spain, or like, that's not how we say it in Mexico, or like, and like, you guys, again, I grew up in 3 different cultures and it helps to learn the differences, and you got to appreciate and accept them. And, that's fine. And kids need to learn that, and like, I never got any complaints from parents because, that's the thing about social media. If someone is unhappy, they're gonna, voice their complaints just, very openly, and like no one is gonna filter that. No one is gonna hold back. It's just gonna be like, that's not working. I'm like, okay. And I always take feedback. And I think, as a creator, you gotta take a sense of agency when receiving feedback. You're gonna be like, well, okay, I'm making the show for them and I want them to watch it, them meaning the audience. So yes, they do have the right to share their feedback, their concerns, and I got to take that into account, which will make my show better. So yeah.
Knowing, I don't know how many languages but I know at least English and Spanish and probably Russian. So
yes.
Knowing all 3 of those, and I'm sure you probably learned some of them when you were a kid and some of them when you were an adult. I think it's a little bit harder to learn it as an adult because our brains are always kind of set like this now. how important is it to teach a child some foreign language when they're children as opposed to as an adult? And is it easier that you've noticed?
Yes, for sure. It is much easier because it's just the way kids' brain works, right? Like there's so many connections that, are made every single day. And like we as human beings, we don't use half of them, even like there's a higher percentage of connections that we don't use. But yeah, for kids, it's much easier. And also like as kids, and it's just also my experience, you don't censor yourself. Like there's no voice at the back of your head, that's telling you, oh, you're gonna make a mistake, you're gonna make a fool of yourself when you just say something. No, kids, they don't have like filters like that. They're like, okay, so yeah, this is fun, I'm gonna learn a foreign language. And like I started learning English when I was 7, whereas at the time everyone started when they were 12. And there's a huge difference, right? So for example, my mom, she's 65, and I'm making her, learn English, and it's not easy. I mean, yes, she gets excited when she can say something. That's the beauty of foreign languages. When you travel or just meet someone foreign here, and you can say something and they understand you, and you're like, wow, like you feel like you have this superpower. I'm like, wow, I can say that. So my mom, whenever someone understands her, she's like, oh, really? You understood what I said? It's just like, really? I mean, yeah, she asks a lot of questions. I think like a kid would never do that. And she's like, but why do they say it like that? But why is it like that? I'm like, Mom, these are different languages. Just accept it, just accept it. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. It is not as easy, but I think it's just because, we get, busier, we have school, we have families, we have kids. So I think if you want to pick up a foreign language, if you teach your child a foreign language, you're going to learn with them, and then you're going to set a beautiful example for them, right? So they're going to be like, oh, Mom, you can speak, Spanish or French or whatever, whatever language of choice. Yeah. So yeah, but it's not impossible. It's not impossible. Yeah, it's just once you set your mind to it, it just takes a lot of practice, a lot of work. But watching shows in a foreign language helps tremendously with that, because like you develop your listening skills, and like you write something down and you activate like all the centers. So it's like, yes, yeah, I mean, it's fun, like you get to travel and experience different cultures as a local, not as a tourist, and that's just fantastic. Yeah.
So I've heard that English and Russian are two of the absolute hardest languages to learn. You know them both. So which one's harder?
I would say, okay, so I would say English is the easiest foreign language to learn. That's my opinion, because I took other languages. I mean, in college, I also spoke German, and like German, like Spanish, oh man, there's like a lot of conjugations, like all these endings, and it's just like, and Spanish has more syllables. So basically you have to convey the same amount of information in Spanish. You would use way more syllables. And that's why it feels like they're speaking so much, faster than, people speak English, which is not necessarily the case. It's just too many syllables. Yeah, but no, English is the easiest foreign language to learn. You don't have to worry about endings, and it's just, sure, there are exceptions, and but like, to me, this is my dominant language. I would not, I would not switch to any other dominant language, because I think it's easier. It's easier, even like Russian. And I mean, I'm not from Russia originally, right? Like I speak Russian with an accent. Yes, I mean, I speak fluently. But like, I remember when I went to film school here and I didn't travel there for like 2 years, I came back and I couldn't remember all the endings. So I would stop mid sentence and I'm like, like, I have no idea how to finish this, and like, and the Russians, they're very proper about their grammar. So they're going to correct you all the time. It's like, I'm like, you know what? Yeah, that's fine. You understood what I said. That's fine. Like as long as I speak proper English, I'm good. Yeah. So, yeah.
Well, see, I think the hardest thing in English is that we have the proper English and then we have the slang English. So it depends on what you learn can,
sure,
give that a problem. So, we're starting to adapt a lot of the slang language, like yeet.
Yeah.
I didn't know what yeet was, but I guess it's to throw something. So There you
Wow.
go. We got
Yeah,
that.
it
So
sounds like very like Yiddish.
yeah, it does.
It's
It
like
really
whoa, what
does.
is that? Yeah, interesting. Yeah, but you see, that's the beauty of languages. Like they transform. Nothing stays the same. It's like that's why if you take English from the 15th century, like no one talks like that anymore, right? So that's normal, I guess. But yeah, it is my absolutely like favorite language for sure. Yeah, I would not switch to anything else. Yeah. And plus, everyone in the world speaks English, right? So that's awesome.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, I mean,
true.
Spanish is the second most spoken language, so that's the benefit, right? Like if you speak both, you can go to more countries and
That's true.
sound smart, and
That is true.
outgoing, yeah, make friends, yeah.
So I got two questions before we close out the show. One of them is I remember like when I was in school, every Friday we always brought in PBS because PBS was a very important learning tool for us. So we had like 3-2-1 Contact and all these other great shows that we would watch, MathNet and stuff. So it helped us learn. Do you have something like that for your school, for schools that people can watch and show their kids?
Sure, you mean like the shows I'm producing?
Yeah, kind of like that. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, like I said, PBS made themselves
sure, yeah,
pretty
yes.
intertwined with the school system. Is that the same for you?
Yes, yes, exactly. Because I know a lot of language teachers, they reached out to me and they said, your shows have been very helpful to us and in our classrooms. So yes, they definitely use our shows to teach Spanish or just, the language. I mean, like if they are in a Latin American country and Spanish is their first language, nonetheless, it is helpful because we are taking them through some concepts that kids, it's again, social skills. How do you share? How do you take turns? So it's, two birds with one stone, like, yeah, you can learn Spanish and you can learn how to interact with other kids in Spanish. So yes, for sure, definitely. It's an educational show.
Yeah.
It's the essence of the show. It's not just merely, okay, let's have a good time. No, like let's learn something, but in a fun way. We're going to remember it as an enjoyable experience.
And my last question, I'm going to combine two into one probably here, but how can people find out more about, Project First, Project First
America.
America, if my tongue wasn't so tied right now. And if somebody has something that they want to pitch, do you accept pitch shows to you and would you put
Sure.
them on your platform? So close it out by telling everybody how they can find out more about you and if they can pitch shows.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, we are present on like every social media. So you can email us there. And, like I said, I'm very active on all social media platforms. So, yeah, if you want to go to our website, this is TV para Niños. It's a TV, like television, and PARANINOS.com. And that's our website. And you will see all our platforms there. Or you can go to our YouTube channel, which is TV para Niños as well. And there's like inquiries for business inquiries. There's an email for business inquiries, and you can send me that email and I'll get back to you for sure. Yeah.
And everybody, I will be putting all that information in the comments section and on her bio on our website where you'll see the radio show and television show. So if you miss that, don't worry about it. Tatiana, this has been so much fun. You're amazing.
Thank you so much.
Keep in touch with you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're definitely part of our family now. So.
Oh yes, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, thank you. Have a great time in Florida.
Absolutely.
Yes,
We'll
Florida,
definitely get you back on in the future for sure.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. And guys, I got to pay bills. So I'll be back in 2 minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Like, OMG, you were on TV and junk.